What's going on, everybody? Let's see here. I know the stream may be a little bit laggy. I'm not really sure what's going on with the internet currently. Hopefully it clears up, so I'm going to try to keep a close eye on it. I mean, let me know how everything's coming through on your end. As far as the chat, what's up, JL? You seem like you got a lot of energy today. What's up? Rio, Anthony, Ishel, Trader, Syed, Crazy Yeti, Igor, Tom, Perry, Cloud Kicker, Julian, Justin, Harris, what's up? Lord, Sage, Natalia, good morning. Algo Trading, Dino, Akbar, Terry, Mr. Wins Too Much. What's up? What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good morning. I hope the stream is not lagging too much. It still says poor, so hopefully the internet doesn't give me too much grief before the end of this week and the end of the whole live streaming thing. I would hate for that to happen, but Brian, yeah, I try to remember. You can change your name on YouTube. It's not too difficult. Mantis, Toxic Wolf, Austin, what's up? What's up? TOK. If you guys can get the video to 100 likes, we can get everything started. Based off of what I was forecasting last night and even yesterday, I'm curious to see where things are. Tom, I saw your message. Yeah, things are a little weird. I want to see what really wants to happen. I was expecting a lot more volatility out of the core PPI folders. I mean, these are weeks and times where people just, you're going to really grow. And if you can make it out of this profitable, hats off to you. Not saying that I'm not. But so far, I mean, this week has been terrible. And I really wanted that news event driver to do something different today. And we got very low volume out of that. We'll see what the rest of the day provides. But as far as what I'm looking at, I hope it's on another day where I have to sit. But we'll see what happens. I don't know, Jabbers. I don't know. Accidental, what's up? I'm trying to wait until the stream health gets a little bit better, but it's not for some reason. Let me know how everything's coming through on your guys' end. I hope it's coming through clear and not laggy. Okay, it seems like a little bit better now. Alright. Let me know the latency. It's probably like a minute or so. What up, what up? Alright, I switched over to the charts here. PPI is usually, I mean, it depends. We had 5 red news event drivers today. So, I was surprised to see as little movement as we did. I mean, CPI was even at least better than that. What style of the music is the intro? It's, I can just put it in the chat. Alright, let me do a top down here as long as you guys can see the charts here. Let's work our way out to the weekly. So in weeks where you're consolidating and you don't know whether the high or low of the week has been set yet, because I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the higher low could be set today, it could be set tomorrow. I mean, the way we've been consolidating all week, it's not easy to predict, it's not easy to trade between, which we've done the correct job, which is to sit still and not do anything. I think that's the best option. It sucks, like, in general, I talk about how, you know, obviously it's the only option you have. But I'm not saying it's fun and it's enjoyable, but it is the best move on the chessboard, at least in my opinion. Rather than taking a bunch of losses or just trying to get in there and spend mental capital on low quality setups that really aren't providing much, I think the best option obviously is not to do too much. So I'm curious to see. I was leaning towards last night. I wanted to see today with this news event driver. I wanted to see more out of what we got. So it's kind of giving me some mixed signals. I'm going to go over some other things as well, ES and YM and dollar index, and try to get a full market view of what we're kind of dealing with. I want to see us trade into the relative equal lows today. We just haven't been willing to do so. And even this morning with the price action, the news event driver, we haven't been willing to do anything in terms of going lower. A little bit, but I really want to see a heavy, energetic displacement lower. I want to see something that gives me clear proof and evidence that price wants to gravitate lower and wants to seek lower prices. So we may get that moving into the silver bullet, and that's exactly what I want to see. I'm not abandoning this idea. I've never abandoned it all week. We're trading in between two breakers. So we're trading between a bullish breaker and a bearish breaker. So anytime you're doing that in a consolidated state, that's giving you low probability overall. But if I can anticipate with the economic calendar in the day, even if we're trading in between it, like today, I could take a trade in here if I understand that today should be a time is the most important factor, a time that price should trade lower. Yesterday, I was not looking for that because it wasn't the time. It wasn't ready for it, price to move lower. And you all saw yesterday when I sat still, didn't do anything, the price is still in the exact same spot, exactly the same spot as we were yesterday. So for those always fearing missing moves, always trying to jump at everything possible, I mean, we didn't move anywhere yesterday. So it gives you a good perspective and kind of like a dose of reality. Like, all right, I don't need to always fear something. But how do I know that today's a little bit more higher probability in my eyes, or at least I'm suspecting it to be so? I have to wait for evidence to kind of clear that to me. But it's a time of week. PPI, those red folders, I believe price was being held for that. We're moving into Thursday and Friday. If price has not moved all week, typically Thursday and Friday, if it hasn't moved all week, you have a strong draw in liquidity and a bias, price will probably gravitate towards that towards the end of the week. So that's what I'm looking at today. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could. I have to wait for evidence. That's why we're going to wait for the silver bullet. I'm not going to be fearful, even if it trades down into the sell side targets. Overall, where I'm looking at, if this gives you a bit of relief when you're looking at a setup, I know price should travel at least to the bare minimum. Not bare minimum, but overall, I'm looking for 1876. It's way down here, 271 handles away. I need a very small portion of that to make a good trade. So if you're fearful, even going into here, I don't care if it trades into that before the silver bullet. That's part of my rule set. What happens if it just tore off higher? And then I saved myself time and money by sitting out that time zone. So I'm going to be watching going in the silver bullet, the relative equal lows here. If we trade underneath the relative equal lows, I'll be looking at if you go out to your 1 hour, I'll be looking at particularly the CE of that wick in here. So split this wick in half, look at the CE of it. I'll be looking at that level there, which I'll have on my other chart. Sell side here and sell side there. Ultimately, sell side all the way down here. I don't know how far price wants to expand today. That could be on the cards. We'll see. Currently, we're sitting in a new day opening gap. So this is from today's open to yesterday's closure of the daily candlestick. Yes, there's some buy side above us. Does that necessarily need to be tagged? Not necessarily. It could, but I don't see it as a option if we continuously drop off lower. So that's why I wait for time, because I could be wrong. Even as confident as I am in price moving lower, I could be wrong. And guess what? That rule set of time, waiting for the silver bullet, could help me not take a loss, right? I could wait another 20, 30 minutes, price moves off higher, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I was actually wrong, and I adjust to it. That's why I wait for the silver bullet, because as confident as I am in some setups, sometimes I just get it wrong. And time usually does most of the heavy lifting for me. But if I'm eager, I'm foaming at the mouth to try to get into this market. Oh, man, I know it's going to go here. It's going to leave without me. Well, yeah, then I could potentially take a loss. So hopefully it makes sense. If you guys are just tuning in, I'd appreciate if you like the video. Tomorrow's the last day of these live streams publicly, so enjoy them. I hope you guys have been enjoying them. I hope even the daily logs, everything that's been posted, you guys have been taking advantage of. So it's been fun. I hope today that we can do something. That way we can end off the week on a good note. Quotation. Contracts is June currently. What I wanted to bring up, I'm not going to mention too much in here right now. What I wanted to bring up, this is also making me kind of weary of some things. Look at where ES is trading compared to NQ. ES is trading relatively near its high in here. So look at the high from Friday of last week and look at where it's in comparison to NQ. NQ is a lot lower. So either ES is going to reach for that buy side. ES is going to want to reach for that buy side. NQ would follow suit. Now either, I'm just playing out scenarios. ES would want to reach above the buy side, tag it, create bearish SMT because NQ wouldn't be near it, and then we drop lower. Or this thing continues to expand higher, NQ follows suits with it, and same with YM. So I have to look at what we're kind of dealing with today. I understand we're still in a low probability environment. If you look at what we talked about yesterday, look at the range we're in. We're trapped in between basically this low to that high there. Anytime you're trapped inside of a dealing range on a daily time frame and you're returning back to EQ of it constantly, taking a trade at EQ is the lowest probability thing you could possibly do because I would rather take a trade down here, I'd rather take a trade up here, not at EQ. It could go either way. That is the lowest probability place to take a trade. And that's what we were discussing last night in the daily log, is a lot of people, this is the exact price we were at yesterday in yesterday's session. People are squirming around, doing anything they can, and wondering why they're taking losses. Because you're trading in nothing. You're trading in aimless bullshit. And you wonder why you take losses. You wonder why you can't find success or consistency, because you're not staying out in environments like this. People hate on what I talk about, and patience and discipline and sitting here when it's trading and just nothing. Why would anybody want to trade in this? Now, if price proves itself to me that it starts to move off lower, like I suspect, or higher, whichever way, honestly, I don't really care at this point. If I have enough evidence for either side and that the logic's there, I'm gonna execute on it. But if I have enough evidence that it wants to move lower, I'm gonna take a trade on it. That's what I prefer. That the logic's there for it. So I want to see what happens today as we move it in the silver bullet. If we stay inside of consolidation and we still do nothing, I'm not going to be placing a trade. So for those who are impatient, they're upset that you can't take a trade all week. Yeah, we still have another day of the week left. So if I have to wait till tomorrow, so be it. This is the mentality of a maturing, growing trader. And it's not going to be like this every single week. You have to understand that. We're not always going to be inside of consolidation. We're not always going to be like this. It's just when weeks are like this, I have to exercise my patience. I have to exercise a lot of it, and it takes a lot of discipline to do so. Otherwise, what's the other option? I can get lucky. Cool, because that's not going to last. B, I take losses. What's the other option? Sit out of it and do nothing. And that's what we've been doing all week. So I know it's not fun. I know it's boring, but this is what hardens you. And that's what I mean by time, and just waiting for time. You see how I was looking for relative equal lows. Not to say that's completely off the cards. We could want to run buy side. Anything can happen in consolidation. Really anything can happen. And I'm probably going to be wrong on a lot of predictions until I can see a clear one-side move. And that's where waiting for time is probably my biggest ally right now, is just waiting for time to give me like, okay, green light, go here. That's really what I'm looking at. I can make a case for both sides. If you can make a case for both sides, what are you trading in? Low probability. We have relative equal highs here. We have sell side resting down here. Which one is it going to go for? So if people sit here and say that they're amazing at trading in consolidations, in my perspective, you're just getting lucky. You're picking a side and price just so happened to go there. I could do the same thing. If price, if somebody had a gun in my head, so you have to trade today, well, I probably have a 50-50 shot at making it right. And here I could probably take it long and we'll probably go to the buy side. It could very well drop off as well. So this is where you have to stop looking at social media, especially in days and weeks where you're exercising patience, you're being very patient and disciplined, and you watch everybody else, trading. Again, it's all a fallacy on social media. I hope most of you probably know that, but I know it's hard when, even for myself, if you're on social media and you've been patient, you're exercising it, and then you go on social media and everybody else is catching moves. You're like, well, what the hell, man? Like, what am I doing wrong? Obviously, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, it's always smoke and mirrors. And that's what you have to kind of reconfirm to yourself. Fernando, thank you. Heard a lot of streamers having had a good week. Yeah, I mean, I wonder why. Like, it's like, if you don't have the experience to understand when these environments are going to play out and have the discipline to sit out of it, I mean, yeah, you're going to have a terrible week. I hope I've been, I believe you determine a good analyst and a good mentor, whoever it is, by the bad weeks. When price is terrible, how do they exercise patience? How do they exercise discipline? What do they do? What are they saying? Like, it's easy in salad days where price is just giving you models day after day after day, and it's just easy to get into the market, call clear draw on liquidity. But how are they acting during these periods? What are their actions like? What are their thoughts? What are they saying? I mean, you can look at mine and see what I was doing. And it's not trying to be boastful. It's just if you're trying to look for somebody to guide you, I mean, that's a pretty clear indication. And ICT's done that for all of us as well. I mean, he stated yesterday, don't trade. I didn't trade. He didn't trade. That's for a particular reason. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on dollar index, to be honest with you. Yeah, I just might bite my word there. LOL. Last I looked at it, really wasn't moving. I need to see, I mean, that's some decent volatility out of dollar index. I would need to see some really clear upside movement out of dollar index to really start liking the confluence with it. Otherwise, I'll just disregard it. So wait for higher time frame liquidity to look for subs. I mean, it doesn't have to happen. Liquidity's already been purged on higher time frames. If you look at the 4 hour, you look at the daily, what has it already done last week on Friday? We've already taken out buy stops. Since then, we're just kind of range bound. But you have to think, what would be the logic? Why would price want to go to that high? What would be the logic behind it? I don't see a particular reason for price to go to that, because we've already ran buy side. We've already done the work, and we've just been accumulating sell side underneath us the whole week, even last week as well. So you have to think in terms of logic. Why would price want to go somewhere? Why is it doing what it's doing? Before you get into a trade, ask yourself, why is price doing this? What is it supposed to do? What is it coded to do? What have been taught that these markets are supposed to do? For me, if buy side's already been ran, there isn't a lot of reason and logic for price to rally higher to attack that buy side. There's certain conditions and characteristics where it could want to do that, but I don't deem that a viable option. So what I'm doing is I'm sitting on one side. I'm saying I'm only looking for sell side. If I don't get a setup to run into the relative equal lows, I don't do anything. Nick, inside of our private group, like, I'm a charter member, so we still have access to him and the things he says. Which he said he was going to sit with us today, which I'm guessing he has some family matters that he's dealing with currently. So I haven't seen anything today from him. Noon, I appreciate that. I mean, State Tiger. Thank you. I'm not even going down to a 1 minute. I have it on my other chart here, my other monitor. But if you look at it, I was trying to actually ask ChatGPT yesterday. I was trying to find a picture. I was trying to create this image, but I may have to like go to like some Photoshop. I really want to find something where like you have one person on the outside watching over a bunch of people fight over nothing, like a bunch of crumbs or like just this shiny piece of object that really means nothing. To me, that's what all of this whole week has been, to me personally, is people are just fighting over this type of range sloppy delivery. They're just fighting over nothing, and it's hilarious to me. And I understand, I'm not saying that to you guys, but in general, this is what people are doing. I mean, we're in a game of everybody's against each other. I mean, I wish success upon all of you, but in reality, when I put my trade on, if your stop loss is where my take profit is, I'm targeting it, and I have no remorse against it. I have no sympathy against it, and vice versa. So when I look at these markets, I view it as a war. I view it as a battle, and these people are battling each other, doing nothing. You're literally trading in aimless dog shit price action, excuse my language, but I have to emphasize that. Otherwise, it doesn't get to people's heads clear enough. So, like, I hope that does make sense. I hope this whole week has opened up your eyes to the idea that, yeah, maybe I can't trade every single day. Maybe I can't push price every single moment. Not to say today, I still think that we're going to get some clear price action here today, hopefully. Again, the only thing I'm standing on, draw the line in the sand. Market. Me. All I want is sell side. So I'm standing on that. It's a terrible drawing. But I'm standing on one side. I'm saying, you're going to meet me here. If you don't, I don't do anything. Exactly, Tom. And I think people look at this as well if you're just kind of tuning into all these live streams. Even this year is not... Ow. Sorry, just pinched myself. If you look at the recent price action this year, it's not been like extremely fluid swings. When you're in type of those conditions, and I hope I get to showcase that throughout the private group, is you can really swing and pyramid into positions, and you can take multiple trades in a week. You don't have to be, very timid on the entire week. But knowing when you should be timid and when you should just be chilling is very, very crucial. How do you trade copy with Quant Tower? There's a trade copy here button, and you click on that and set up the bot. G. Christopher, yeah. It is what it is. I mean, I suggest going back through I have so much content. I mean, even though it's not live, all of it's still very good info. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate if you like the video here. How do you know when to trade and when to avoid trading? There's a lot of profiles, a lot of signatures of that I cover over in real time. I've just covered it today if you didn't catch it. I'm not going to repeat it over and over again. So what do? We climbed up into this premium SIBI, taking internal buy side. So why is this internal? Because from that dealing range high down to this low, that's internal sell side or buy side. We're taking out internal buy side. We've dropped lower in here. That's a good sign. I want to see this continuously propel lower. That's my bias for the day. I want to see sell side be tagged. That's what I'm looking at. New week opening gap down here that can be used as a draw on liquidity. There's a few things I need to take off of this chart here, particularly this here. This orange shaded line in here, which I can probably take this away to be honest, that is your new day opening gap if I haven't mentioned it already. He is sending tweets. I'm sure that means ICT. I'd rather him not be on social media. But that's my personal opinion. RTH gap. Yeah, I think we're probably away from it now. Ah, beautiful. Now we closed in the RTH gap. Could use that as confluence, just overall. But I don't. Just the way we've already closed it, so I don't really need to utilize it. And am I fearful of missing moves? No. We're waiting. At least I'll see if we can execute in this macro here. We'll see though. But you see how standing on one side is very crucial. I think a lot of people could have seen this fake out in here and wanted to trade that, wanted to be a part of that, move higher, would have seen the buy side, but narrative always oversees everything else. It's the parent to everything that you're doing in life in terms of trading. Not life, but trading. I don't feel any type of way. Even though prices, I'm actually very happy. Like, that's cool. I want to see it trade into this. There's still a lot of time left of the day. There's still a lot of price action, still a lot of targets to be met. I don't feel any type of way about this. I'm happy. You should be excited. Good. Price is moving. We want to see this. It's a very clean, beautiful sell-off. As we move into the silver bullet, it's going to give us clear direction. I want to see us trade in these relative equal lows. So in this condition, right, like let's just say everything pans out the way I want it to. When you know a clear draw on liquidity, when I know price is going to a certain place with narrative, time, economic calendar, and bias, all I'm doing is I'm plugging my model in and I'm just executing on the draw on liquidity. It's that simple. But of course, waiting out of conditions that you know you shouldn't be trading, certain models that shouldn't work, those are all the difficult things. But today, like today, hopefully I get to showcase how easy it is to execute in a model where you know the draw on liquidity. It's easy to see. You just plug and play. DXY pumping. Okay, I gotta take off my. I usually have YouTube up instead of dollar index sometimes, just to see how everything's going. And that's good. What is dollar index? Dollar index is an inverse correlation to indices, right? So if you see that, That's a good correlation. If dollar index was dropping lower, it would make me weary of this entire setup. But the fact that it's inverse correlated, doing what it's supposed to be doing, it makes me confident in continuously looking for lower prices today. Of course, things can change at any moment time, but so far, everything's still in sync. Everything's working the way it's supposed to. And we'll just see where price, if I can get into it. If I miss this entire move, and let's say there wasn't a single entry, I wouldn't care. Doesn't mean I missed the move. There's a clear distinguish between, yeah, my model didn't form versus my model formed, I didn't execute on it. And I believe my model will form today if you give it enough time and patience and just sit with it. Only place you would have entered was in here. And I highly doubt a lot of people would have done that. Again, that's not even within the time zone I'm trying to execute in. So from there, we just sold off. Thomas, do you think it's a good idea to try to move up to a 5-minute chart and higher if you struggle with the 1 minute falling victim to these conditions? I would suggest so, yes. How do you deal with emotions? Mostly my analysts are good, but once I'm in a trade, I close in a small position. I mean, that's just time and experience. You're attached to unrealized profits. You have to figure out why that is. I hate those kind of violent moves without giving an entry. Why do you hate that? What does that signify for you? What's the significance of it? Every move is the same to me. If the price moves a little bit, it's the same. If price moves a lot, it's the same to me. I view it all the same. Just because price is moving a lot means nothing to me. Gutman, you literally took the words out of my mouth. What did we talk about yesterday? All the things that I constantly say. I'm constantly programming myself to believe these things, even if I didn't believe it at one point or another. Even if I was the same, where like I was really pissed off when price moved like this, and I wasn't a part of it, and I called the draw on liquidity, I'd be tilted. I'd be pissed off. But guess what? You start programming yourself exactly what I'm doing here. It means nothing to me. Doesn't matter. Those type of things, eventually your subconscious doesn't know between a lie and a truth, and you begin to program yourself, and then you actually don't care. And I also have confidence and experience knowing that if we move into the silver bullet, I probably am going to get an entry. Price doesn't just drop off continuously all the time. There's always some type of relief. There's always some type of retracement. These markets play off of emotions. Everybody's fearful. Let me sell down here. It's just going to keep going. I got to keep selling this thing, man. I can't. I'm going to lose. I'm going to miss out on this whole thing. That's exactly what they want you to believe. Just be happy that price is moving. That's the perspective that I have. Is I'm happy price is moving. We're probably going to move out of consolidation today, is my opinion, out of the whole macro level of daily time frame, the 4 hour, 1 hour, and that's a good thing. I'm happy about that. If I don't have a setup today, guess what? Tomorrow we'll probably have one. We're reaching down on the CE of this wick here. So I mentioned it earlier briefly to mark out the CE of that 1 hour wick in here. Why am I marking that out? Because if you have a large wick like this, I want to mark out the CE level. Hey, Ghost. I hate them because my draw on liquidity is right, but no entries. Still learn to manage it. Trust me, man. That's going to happen to you like over and over and over and over and over, years over again. It's going to happen to you. But you have to look at the bright side. Guess what? You could still manage to get into these markets and still be profitable. Trust me, you can. Even as much as price is moving, you didn't get your entry. There's probably going to be another entry. As long as you know there's still meat left on the bone for the day, there's still things there, you're going to be okay. It's happened to me so many times. And it doesn't mean that your model's wrong. It just means that that's part of the ecosystem and the reality of trading. you're going to have a bias correct and you're not going to have an entry. So you have to make that clear distinguish between, well, my model didn't form, but I knew the draw on liquidity. Is that a missed trade? No, because there was no entry. There's no model there, so I didn't miss a trade. If I knew the draw on liquidity, if there was a clear, like in here today, let's say we walk in a silver bullet, I'm telling you guys we're going to go down to the sell side. There's a clear model entry pattern. I don't take it. That is me missing a move. That's me not executing on the things that I know I should be doing. That's a clear distinguish, right? You have to separate the two. Otherwise, you get it confused. And you start criticizing yourself over nothing. As far as where would I entry be, I mean, yes, I see there's a couple premium fair value gaps in here. I'd like a little bit multiple time frame analysis, like confluence, meaning like a 15-minute time frame confluence, a 5-minute time frame confluence. We'll just see. So ES is sold off, YM sold off, and Q sold off, dollar index still moving higher. So far everything's in sync. It's moving how it's supposed to. What caused DXY to go higher instead of repricing lower? More or less like the daily time frame volume balance. %30 chance of keep going down. Okay. So why would I not be shorting at this blue box in here? I forgot to mention it. That is this. Sorry, that's actually the 5-minute. That is this inefficiency here, this discount. So I just have it marked up. We'll see kind of how I utilize it. We have a 5-minute inefficiency here, so I'd like to see if we can drive up kind of into that. Good morning from Pakistan. Good morning. Where's my signals? Yeah, right. That's probably what everybody's been asking this week. So we'll see what price is looking like and what it's doing as we move into the silver bullet here. Morning, Wolf. Old new day opening gap. Yeah, I mean, you can extend out old new day opening gaps, but if it's already been kind of repriced and rebalanced into, it's not something I'm really looking at. Can we use RTH gaps as reverse as well? I mean, you can use it as confluence with trade idea. We'll miss you. Yeah, I'll miss you guys too. I mean, I said there's a lot of people that say that in daily logs, like, we'll miss you, but I guess if you're still learning, I'm not trying to sell any of you on this, but unless you obviously are in an unfortunate situation or a different country, different circumstances, I understand in terms of money. Like, I just don't, if $200 to you is a huge issue in terms of learning, like if you're learning a lot through these and you're progressing, I just don't see why you wouldn't invest into it. Logically, it just doesn't make sense. So if we want to leave these higher inefficiencies open, I'm going to anticipate them as breakaway caps because the way price is moving, if it's in a hurry to get somewhere, I have to anticipate that these higher inefficiencies above price will be left open. I really hope my thing doesn't freeze. Shot here? Yeah, I mean, I have a $100 monthly payment, but again, I did that on a particular reason because you might as well pay for 3 months for $200. Crunchy doctors. To be honest with you, I would just kind of go into studying more or less than watching. Yeah, I know. But if you're in the U.S. or you have money, I mean, I'm not trying to sell anybody. Yeah, hello, I get it. But I'm not going to drop the cost because my time's worth that. Otherwise, I wouldn't even really want to do it. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to decide, does price want to retrace into a premium before we sell off? That would probably be ideal for overall lower prices, but it doesn't need to. If price wants to leave breakaway gaps, it's in a hurry to get somewhere, very well could just leave a portion open. Yeah, it is. It is a bargain. So again, look at what I'm doing going out to the daily time frame. 200 for 3 months, yes. Toxic, yeah, we just caught 300 handles. You missed out. Fernando, you have one more day with me. Yeah, Nelson, yeah, everything. I'll release everything tomorrow. But yes, I mean, I'm going to be doing everything I do here publicly inside the private group and plus more. Shahir, no. Because I don't know. Like, to anticipate, like, yes, I can anticipate price going into a premium, but it doesn't have to do that. So taking a long when the overall bias is short, to me, that's a little bit lower probability. I'm going against the overall order flow. So you could be, like, oh, well, price needs to go into a retracement. It needs to go into a premium. No, it doesn't. It doesn't need to do that. So waiting and just standing on one side of the curve and saying, I'm only going to elect to do this, then that's the highest probability thing to do. Muhammad, I mean, it's probably too late now. Unless privately, I'll do all that, but publicly, no. Exactly, yeah. And you can't always anticipate breakaway gaps. You can't always anticipate that. Sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes you get it right. The best option is just to stay within the narrative and work within that framework because I have more confidence in that. I have more confidence in price moving lower than I have in price moving higher. So I have to just kind of stick with that. If there's a beautiful long setup in this retracement, I mean, who really cares? I'll just take the short. Why would I not be selling down here right now? Because obviously we're inside of a discount. We've taken out sell side. So it can give price anytime you drop lower, make a new low, take sell side. It can give price the relief to return into a short-term premium. So I would rather elect from this dealing range high up to this high, down to this low. Where's EQ? EQ is sitting here. So I need price to at least return into EQ plus this inefficiency there for me to actually really want to be interested in taking a short. Otherwise, I do nothing. As the price keeps selling off, I mean, I may be able to adjust and anticipate that those are breakaway gaps, but I would prefer it to retrace into the premium. That would be a better option overall. Why did I pick 76-ish as a overall target? Because that's, if you go out to your daily, that's where the relative equal lows are sitting. And this is where multiple time frame analysis is crucial because you want to blend a lot of them together. Do I have a 5-minute fair value gap? Do I have a 15-minute fair value gap? Do I have a 1 minute? Are they all nested together inside of a premium that's targeting my overall draw on liquidity? That's a higher probability setup when you have nested inefficiencies, meaning you have a 15-minute, a 5-minute, a 1-minute, all in the same area, and you just refine it down to a 1 minute. Basically, yeah, new week opening gap is basically the EQ of that range. So as soon as we get up into the new week opening gap, I could be electing to take a short. You could take a short inside of this inefficiency or that one, but your stop loss obviously would need to be within the 5-minute, because that's the 5-minute framework. That's the parent. Especially if we form a 15-minute in here as well, that's going to give me a little bit more confluence. So you need to kind of read through all of these and see, kind of like pages through a book, how are they all reading, what do they look like. And then once we get into that area, I have to make sure, all right, reanalyze. Is everything still in confluence? Is dollar still gravitating higher? Has anything changed? Is my bias still correct? Is the trade still correct? Yes, okay, take the trade and put the risk on. That's the way I view it. I'd be curious what this model is. This is simply from my charter member model videos on YouTube. It's model number 3. It's just a continuation model where buy-side liquidity has already been ran on a higher time frame, and it's been ran again on lower time frames than here off the open. So I don't need buy-side to be ran again. It's just a continuation model. All I'm looking for is a fair value gap that is resting inside of a premium, and I go short. I'm not trying to go long at the bottom here. That's, to me, it's a lower probability overall bias to have. Sure, you may be able to go long in here, and it may work out for you. We could both profit. You could profit going long, I could profit going short. But what I'm trying to teach and execute and exercise is waiting for the narrative, working within the narrative, trading the narrative that's going to put you in the best possible odds, rather than trying to reverse things. If you're contrarian, you're probably going to like this more than what I'm talking about. You have to match your personality with it. I'm not a contrarian. I want to go with the overall flow of things. When it comes to trading, it makes things easier. I have more trust in it, more confidence. Yeah, I haven't even looked who's in here. I mean, apparently we have 700, 731. If you could please like the video, if you guys are just tuning in, we're at 200 likes. So if we get that to 500, that would be appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to crack 10K by the end of this week, but we'll see. Would you enter straight up the FEG or wait through a short-term MMS? It depends on the delivery in it. I know that may be. If we have a really fast delivery in here, and it's just I'm kind of questioning if price may trade through that, which I don't think it will. But then I would wait for it. So that's why I don't really set limits. I always am waiting to see how price delivers. Am I confident enough? I'm sitting here in real time, and hopefully, in hindsight, we can all go back. And in real time, I believe we're going to sell off from those inefficiencies. But if price starts delivering super quickly, like to the point where I'm like, yeah, I may have to just wait to see. What I would do is I'd wait to see, do we get a rejection lower? If I see a rejection lower, then I'm confident enough that a model will form in the lower portions when we start moving off lower for me to refine my entry and then go short. That's the way to protect yourself as well. But if my model's there, the conditions are there for me to go short, then I'll just go short. If this thing sells off from here and starts just gravitating towards the lows, then I have to adjust with it. I'd say, all right, well, we may leave this as a breakaway gap. I have to adjust with it and see if I can find an entry down here. So as an analyst, you're always determining, deciphering, figuring out what price is doing, what it's not doing, etc. It didn't have to close underneath the CE. Just because I have a bullish or opposing inefficiency PD array marked up does not mean that I'm looking for that to be traded or closed underneath. I'm not saying that it should trade away from it, like in terms of another narrative or bias. I'm just looking at it as a discount area for price to trade into. So when I'm highlighting that CE of the wick in here, I'm just highlighting that this is the next discount array for price to reach into. And it can use that as a short-term relief to move into a short-term premium before selling off again. That's basically what I was highlighting. It doesn't have to close beneath it, nor can it really close beneath it. I mean, it can close beneath the CE, but overall, the sell side's in here. We built up even more sell side now. So that's what I'm looking at. Yes, as a daily FEG, is this something you would consider? I might take a look. I mean, I see what you're talking about. I mean, I could be dead wrong, right? Like, just looking at price, price could have just taken out sell side in here. We may completely reverse out of this, and I may be dead wrong because we're still inside of consolidation. But I'm anticipating today / tomorrow we may break out of that consolidation. So I kind of have to put my chips on the table and say this is what I'm betting on today. And again, the same thing we talked about. If I want to protect myself in this condition where I see the model, I can just wait for the delivery in here, and I can see how it reacts. If it starts to move away from it, starts to shift market structure, prints a fair value gap, even in the lower quadrants, then I'm okay with that. If price completely reverses higher, and oh, I missed the long move, I don't care, because that's not part of my bias. That's not part of what I'm looking at today. So it wouldn't be a missed move to me. It wouldn't be a missed model. And especially when you're looking at these higher time frame like entry patterns, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, my risk is a little bit larger. So I'm also really cautious of that. Like if I entered at basically the equilibrium, the stealing range of the CE, I mean, I'm risking 42 handles. So that's why I'm going down to a 1 minute. I'm kind of refining it because then I can reduce my risk a little bit. Overall, I'd like this one to be reached into, but we'll see. Our equilibrium is at the new week opening gap there. So from this high down to this low, equilibrium sitting right there. What else am I waiting for as well? I'm waiting to see in about 3 minutes. I'm seeing if this forms an inefficiency, because to me, if this forms an inefficiency, it's not going to sell off before that. It's going to want to dig into that before. So I'm looking at this and going, well, probably form a fair value gap like this. Next candle digs up into it, and then we potentially sell off. If I'm dead wrong on this overall bearish bias, and I can see that that's no longer a valid option, as we just discussed earlier, then I'll just have to adjust to it, and I'll see. So long played, paid nice. I mean, it's awesome. 12 handles, yeah, I mean, if you widen your stop loss, then just lower your, like if it's bigger than, the range is a lot bigger than normal, just lower your contract size. Thank you, Will. This is exactly what I'm doing, as I talked about earlier, especially when I'm looking at the other case and going, well, what would be the other case? And I know some people are like, stop flipping analysis. I'm just looking at the other side. I'm just saying something. If this thing was to go higher, I would have to look at the evidence for that. And I'm waiting for the delivery. I'm waiting for this 15 minutes. It's kind of my framework. Like I'm waiting for this 15-minute closure. If this didn't form a fair value gap in here, like if this just traded off higher by the end of 30 seconds here, it would make me weary to honestly short. It would. But we'll just see. Again, I'm never fearful of missing entries. I don't need the best entry in the world. I don't need that. You could just simply, what we talked about earlier, you could wait for a displacement away from this and see if there's something in here. But the reason I'm mainly still looking for lower prices overall is dollar index is still moving higher. If that thing was giving me mixed signals and it was moving off lower, then yeah, I would be like, all right, well, maybe I'm kind of wrong. Yes, basically, yeah, that's our last point of interest there. And overall, that's what I'd like for price trade up into. So let's see how the 15-minute closed in here. Not the best inefficiency in the world, but we'll see. And even if I was to take a long in here, there was nothing in here that would signal me to do so, unless you just turtle soup the low. But yeah, that's not what I'm looking at. And I'm also looking at risk. Like if I was to sell short in here, just say from there, I mean, I would have to risk 40 plus handles. So if I have to refine it and wait for this thing to drop a little bit lower, that's fine with me. Let's say we dig into this inefficiency here and price sends it off higher. I'm going to be weary of the idea of selling short. So I'm just kind of playing cool. Even though I have a bias, even though I'm looking for something, I'm being cautious of the other side. And I know, for the most part, thing sells off, goes in the direction I was looking for. I can still find my entry. It's still going to be there. What's up, Maximo? You're waiting for long? Nope. I think a lot of people think that I place certain inefficiencies on and like things on here, and they think I'm calling for something. If you see me take a trade, you see me take a trade, and that's what I believe in. Dollar index is still propelling higher. That's giving me confidence. I'm not going to be looking for longs. There's no reason to do so. Let me take this away. Yeah, accidental, but I could also wait for price to give me a little bit less risk, and I can still use the same contracts and actually get more out of it than using a micro and trying to get the highest entry. So you have to think of it like that as well. Yeah, dollar index is beautiful right now. And price, people could see this. They could see price move off as inefficiency and even move up into this higher one, and people are going to call it trying to long that. It may just be wanting to reach for a deeper premium. If price trades underneath this inefficiency here, and obviously that's what I'm looking for, trades back up into it as an inversion, I would sell short there. Oh no, I didn't get the best entry in the world. I particularly don't care. Yeah, Austin. Again, the risk is just a little, like, in terms of where I'm placing my stop loss, it's a little too wide. I want to see this get inverted. I want to treat that as an inversion. If we don't, I mean, it's fine. I'm not missing a long move. as we discussed before. I mean, just because it reacts off this, it could move into a higher premium and then sell off again. Dollar index, when you're uncertain about certain models and ideas, I know for like Nico, I know you just said something, but dollar index, trust it. It is a very good confluence. I've highlighted all of this for all of you in real time last week, the week before that. When you're trying to determine a trade setup, I look at dollar index and it's moving higher. So it's giving me clarity as to what I should be doing, what I should be standing on, the side I should be standing on. If dollar index is moving lower, then yes, I would not be trying to call lower prices in here. But it is aggressively moving higher. That's giving me pretty damn good confidence that we're going to move lower today. I didn't say that, Jeff. You'll see where my stop loss is. I can see how eager people are to do something right now. It's funny to me. Do I see the 30-second model? Or do I remember it? Yeah. I just don't use a 30-second time frame. Could you be worried? No. I'm highly charged right now. I know. I can tell through the chat everybody's highly charged. Patience, young Padawan. Yeah. Let's stroll through some other time frames. I'm just waiting to see if we go underneath this. There's probably a high probability that we're going to invert it. And I can enter into that. There's no issue with it. On the flip side, there's two scenarios. There's a bunch of scenarios, but I'm just going to play hypothetical, right? Price could utilize this to send price higher into a higher premium and then sell off. It could also utilize this to send price higher into some buy-side liquidity that I may not be anticipating. So the best option, especially at this point, I just feel like this is a false high. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, in my experience, when I look at price and I look at structure, I don't see that especially when a retracement comes in. I more or less like wicks away from inefficiencies. Like a bodily closure, it just seems like a false high. So I'm not completely, just because price runs above this high again, that doesn't mean that I'm not looking for shorts anymore. It just could be digging into a higher premium. That's all I could be doing. Jabbers, yep. The market always breathes out, it breathes back in. You'll never, and once you start to realize that, and you just have to draw the line in the sand. Like, you're gonna stop doing those toxic bad habits. I'm done doing it. It's stupid. I've done it plenty of times. Trust me. Like, Rooster, I appreciate the comment. Yeah, when you continuously keep chasing moves, I mean, over time you're gonna learn, like, you know what, man, like, I'm just sick and tired of doing this dumb shit all the time. You're gonna change. The moment you want to change is when the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of change. Like, if you just keep remaining the same, I mean, eventually you're gonna suffer so much pain that you say, you know what, the pain of sitting through certain retracements, sitting through some missed trades, it outweighs me taking the pain of taking these stupid losses that I know I shouldn't be. Yeah, and this isn't even consolidation. This is just price moving a little slower. Like, I know somebody said turn the algorithm back on. This is not, like, this is nothing. This is reasonable to expect. As Tom just said, when you move a lot, you have to anticipate. What's the first stages of core content 1? You have consolidation, expansion, retracement, reversal. The market moves in cycles. It doesn't just expand, expand, expand. So you have to anticipate that. At 46, you said you weren't going to put, well, because of the movement on dollar indexes, it's the movement, if you sat with me for a long enough time, if dollar index is not moving a lot, in terms of volatility, the movement of that day is not moving a lot. That's not going to impact the index future markets. But look at the way dollar index is moving. It's moving rapidly higher. So that has an influence over it. If it's just kind of meandering around, not doing much, or just kind of slightly moving higher, then I'm going to kind of disregard it and I'll just solely look at NQ. But in this instance, dollar index is really gravitating higher. I know some people have asked, well, what happens to reverses from here? I don't particularly see that happening. I don't see a reason for dollar index to just reverse. It could, but I don't see that happening. Time distortion, I wouldn't even say it's not even time distortion. I think people don't even know what the hell time distortion is either. Not to be rude, Will, but time distortion, I could show you what time distortion is. This is just simply price. You could just call it accumulating. It's just sitting here for a second, letting everybody else pick and choose what they want to do. You want to go long, you want to go short. I'm just going to sit still and see what it provides. Yeah, Tom, I can feel it through the damn screen. I can show you what time distortion is. I'll have to use like Photoshop. And let's say overall, like, I'm no longer looking for shorts, and I can see, all right, well, maybe price wants to go higher. That'd be a cool kind of way to display this, and if I was able to enter in a long. Not saying it's going there. I know people are going to take that the wrong way. Just playing a scenario. Because if it invalidates some certain ideas in here that I'm no longer looking for lower prices, oh no, I missed a move down here. Well, guess what? I can just readjust and see, all right, well, does it want to run for buy side in here? Then I can play that. And guess what? The thing I just taught you, waiting for price to move into these inefficiencies and waiting for that type of model, especially waiting for that displacement away from it, giving you confirmation that price wants to move lower from a higher time frame point of interest, that's confirming to me that price would want to move lower. It's protecting me from a potential loss I would have taken. And then again, if price is proving me wrong, then I can just readjust into it. That doesn't mean I'm a bad analyst. It doesn't mean I suck. It means that I wasn't predicting that. So that's it. As long as I'm able to readjust without taking a loss, there's nothing to be mad about. And this is what I mean by either A, it's driving into a higher premium, which I don't like the energetic displacement higher in here. I don't. It's not something I'm a huge fan of, if I had to be completely honest, if I was looking for lower prices. So I'm trying to adjust to it. I'm seeing, well, does it really want to move higher? If it wants to move higher, where would it want to move to? If it moved, I mean, we already closed above this. I would need to see a little bit more in here, but overall, there's clean buy side up here as well. So price starts to move off higher. Well, what is it trying to reach for? What is it trying to do? Okay, then I could readjust and look for the buy side. It's that simple. And I just protected all of you from taking a loss, and even myself, through the rules that I've already basically panned out for myself. I think that's going to go over a lot of heads what just happened there, especially if this goes long. And some people, yeah, they'll sit in here and be like, well, I told you it was long. You're stupid for looking for shorts. Well, cool. Hopefully this doesn't freeze. So to me, I'm not completely abandoning this short bias. We're still inside of this 5-minute inefficiency in here. So this is the parent. I can't abandon that idea just yet. I know what we just talked about, and I was playing a hypothetical scenario. I would need price to move probably up into this 90% region of this fair value gap closing for me to start being, all right, well, I have to abandon that entire idea. What I talked about earlier is it could just be moving up into a higher premium. That's all it could be doing for them to sell off. So I have to just adjust and see. It's very tedious, I know. It's a lot of waiting, deciphering. That's my style. Wolf of workers. I can't say that word. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, this is still the parent. So I'm just trying to decipher. Is this still, I mean, dollar index is dropping a little bit lower, but not significantly. Told you it was long. Damn it. Exactly, Rista. I think only experienced people can see that. How often do you use the 2, 3, 4 minute? Not a whole lot, but if I see something, I'll scan through it. Abraham, yeah. If we closed above the 15-minute, then yeah, I'd probably abandon the overall bearish bias. Which again, I didn't take a trade on it, so it doesn't mean I suck. Or you suck. If I can readjust for higher prices, then it's awesome. Zusi and Dodgy post their win now. Just another throwaway. That's a good question. I think more or less, something to kind of reframe that question would be if you're comparing if they've moved into premium or discounts together, if they're kind of moving in tandem in that way. Not necessarily CEs of fair value gaps. I mean, they could line up with a premium or a discount. I'd be looking at dealing ranges and if they're kind of moving in sync with each other. Like if you look at ES is just kind of getting into its premium. So I'm looking at that as well. If you look at just the 5-minute. So sometimes you want to wait for the other asset class. Like, do you see how earlier ES was not inside of its premium yet? Just barely tagged equilibrium. So you may want to wait for ES to get into it before you start to look for sells in NQ. Just kind of depends. Overall, what I'm kind of in the back of my head as well is I'm looking at like the 1 hour and I'm looking at time. So does it seem practical for this entire thing in 20 minutes just to rip lower? No, that doesn't seem practical. So it may have a smaller retracement than another hourly candle opens. If I have to sit here for another hour, that's fine. So I'm constantly scanning through time frames. If you're wondering why the delivery is kind of like this and why I'm being hesitant, it's because I'm still aware of this idea. I'm still aware of this idea here. That's my focus point, is the daily time frame. And they may not be on the screen, but I'm in my head, I'm looking at it going, yeah, we're still consolidating. So to call a trending type of day in a consolidating market, it's difficult because you don't know when it's going to break out of it. You have to try to anticipate it, but you could be wrong. Yeah, you can't forget that part. What would make me confident in going short in here? Breaking this fair value gap here, turning that into an inversion, printing some type of fair value gap in there, where it's telling me it's changing its state of delivery on lower time frames. This is still the parent. This is still what oversees everything else. So I'm looking at this, and I'm going, all right, well, if we close beneath this inefficiency here, it's telling me, well, it's probably not going to go long. It's going to want to drop lower. I can invert that, treat it as inversion, fair value gap short, reduce my risk, wait for time, etc. And probably, if I had to put some money on it, if it does go short, it's probably going to line up with the end of the silver bullet macro. If it goes long, then so be it. I'm not looking at that today. Just because there's a fair value gap here, just because we moved higher, this is still my framework. I'm still looking at that. Again, what would make me weary of going long in NQ? Look at dollar index. It's expanding higher. I don't see a reversal point on dollar index right now. I don't see price just reversing from here to go lower. So I have to kind of lean on the idea it's going to continuously propel higher, and NQ, based on the technicals I'm looking at, is going to want to drop lower. So I've seen ghosts in the bank. I don't trade gold. I don't have thoughts on it. So that's that. What's the best environment to always have a fair value gap that's kind of in confluence coupled with it? I don't trade. I know there's somebody on Twitter and social media that it's all about inversions, but inversions alone don't really mean much. You have to have something in confluence, to me at least. So I want to see it trade through this and treat it as an inversion. I want to see a nice energetic displacement lower. That would give me confidence in looking for lower prices. And what did we talk about earlier? It may have just been a deeper, higher premium retracement. So everybody chasing longs after that. That's what I'm trying to annotate to you. I'm playing a very nimble game. Like, I'm just waiting for the best perfect moment. I know it's hard for some people, but hopefully I get to showcase that. So do I want to sell off of this inversion alone? We'll see. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of selling off inversions alone. Yes, there's a small fair value gap in there, but it's a nice rejection from it. Yeah. With tags, if it runs up into it again, I'd probably short it. What would be the risk? Yeah, it's actually not terrible. I know this is reversed. I'm going to short it. So my stop loss has to go above the inversion. From here, it really needs to kind of like sell off. So I'm working within the framework. Price should move lower. It's kind of already confirmed that to me. It's broken that inefficiency. We'd want to see it move away from it. We have the new week opening gap. You have the inversion. You have the SIBI. There's some things in there that are in confluence. You have the narrative. Dollar index moving higher. Those type of things. Five-minute. Technically it was the BISI, so it'll turn into the inversion. If it wants to. It doesn't have to. I like the closure, it's good. Technically speaking, you could adjust your stop loss to that high there. You could. Why? Because that's kind of like the high of this entire range. It could wick above it. I may do it just for the sake of the stream. The risk reward, especially if this thing sells off. I mean, the risk reward is too nice. Now I'm looking at it, looking at the higher time frame in here. 15-minute closure. Nice. Dollar index still moving higher. Obviously, you'd want to take a partial down here. Just work your way with it. Oh, CJ took a trade. So I want to see as we move into the silver bullet macro, end of macro, how price starts to move and react. Yes, I'm trading on my live account. You see the icons pop up over there when I place a trade. Just paper trading is just for the audience, just to see it. That's the reason why I adjusted my stop loss, because I'm trying to work within this framework here rather than just a 1 minute. I'm not fearful. The framework's still here. I'm still looking at the parent rather than just a 1 minute. I'm looking at time. I want to see how we react into the end of silver bullet macro. I'm trading micro. Yeah. From here, I'd really want to see it because we've already moved within this version a couple times. And I'm looking to the SIBI. I know it's not extended. I'm looking at that SIBI to the left here as well. Excuse my water. I'm so thirsty. Just lean back and chill out, everybody. It's not the end of the world. Everything is done. I don't have to do anything else. This is where all the work has been done, right? I no longer have to work. I just let it pay me. Or stop me out. But, you know, hopefully I get to just showcase why working so hard throughout the week to wait for a certain setup that I deem as high probability is worth it. And if I get stopped out, I mean, that's okay too. There's no guarantees this thing could reverse and rip my head off. The quietness is eerie. Yeah, probably people are over leveraged out of their ass on these trades. Which I don't advise anybody even to be taking these trades. I'm just showcasing what I'm doing. If you just so happen to be in the trade that I'm in, then I guess that's just a coincidence. We returned beautifully into optimal trade entry. So yeah, execution is something different on its own, waiting for it, managing it while it's in the position, like a whole bunch of different things. But So we're inside of the end of silver bullet macro in here. I want to see how, with time, how price treats it and moves. Almost immediate rebalance on the 1 hour. I'm not going to delete this channel, no. Well, yeah, Julian, you have to. Like, you have to be able to talk to yourself and coach yourself. You're the only person here that is going to talk you through certain things. And obviously, I'm trying to talk to a bunch of people and trying to coach you through a certain position. And, like, what am I going to be screaming in here with energetic, let's go? Like, it's opposite of what we're supposed to be doing here. You have to, you're your own coach. You see me talk about the same things, repeat the same things over and over and over again. Because I'm coaching myself, coaching everybody else. I have it on a real account. It's just I don't have Tradeovate or like any TradingView platform. Hurley, I watched ICT's content on money management. He suggests cutting your risk in half when you take a loss. Yes, that's a very good risk management plan. I utilize it. The soft talk shows as an anxiety. I mean, sure, man. Woohoo. You got me. Like, people that say, like, even me, like, yes, am I sitting in here with a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of emotions? Of course. I'm not a robot. Like, if you don't have any emotions when you're trading, then obviously you want to reach that point where you don't. But overall, I mean, you're going to have emotions. I can't escape it. I'm a human. I'm not an android. Maybe it says that it's just trying to put on a facade. Like, yeah, I don't have any emotions. I'm the man. I'm stoic. Cool, girl. You're a loser. Yeah, I'm also in front of, I don't even know how many people are on here. 700, 800? Jeez almighty. I probably would have a lot littler emotions if I wasn't live in front of a bunch of people. I started trading about 6 years ago. Is there 900 people? I don't even know how many people are because I don't have it on the screen. I just have the chat. Yeah, there's 933 people. Like, unless you've traded in front of 933 people, then you can talk. If you have confidence. Well, if I had confidence in every single trade, I would never put a stop loss. Like, your logic doesn't make any sense, my brother. You're telling me every single trade you take, you have extreme confidence, that way you never put a stop loss in? We put stop losses in because we know preconceivingly we could be wrong. If I knew I was going to be right with 100% confidence every single time, I would never place a stop loss. And there's certain trolls in here that, yeah, I'm also doing a live stream. What do you want me to do? Mute? Tanya's in the same train? Cool. Thank you, Jack Fox. You know what? Have a good day, my friend. People are going to be like, oh, you're super emotional. No, I just don't enjoy people talking. And then it hits take profit and they're mute. Like, okay, cool, bro. Have you met Tanya? I haven't met her, but I know who she is. We've talked. You have to think about it. I'm thinking about the hourly candle. We have about 4 minutes until the hourly candle opens. Like, I'm thinking in terms of that. That's why it's more or less, to me, it's consolidating, not really doing too much. Just because you don't have an immediate rejection, sometimes you're in just a high resistance profile. I'm not worried. If you're worried, you have too much risk on. Like, you're over leveraging way too much. How do you manage yourself and emotions when you enter a position like this? I don't allow myself to do anything. Like, that's how I manage myself. Is what would be the best option? Just don't touch anything. Why would I fidget with shit? So my chat is full of comedians. Yeah, if you saw a face cam of me, I mean, I'm leaning back in my chair. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna touch my position. I'm gonna start moving shit around, flipping through time frames. I mean, nothing's changed. I'm not a comedian. Okay. Thanks for that update. Yeah, I mean, when there's people that are not regulars here, they're either going to be trolls or people that just don't know me. They don't know my style. They don't know how I talk. So, I mean, it's just going to be a bunch of nonsense. Oh, you already know I have a Zen in. I'm looking here at the hourly. I'm seeing, all right, it's going to close in about 14 seconds. Let's see. I may have to go through the next hour, which is not going to be fun. I hope it delivers fast. I don't want to be on this live stream, whether it's stop loss or take profit. MS, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, time limit and also looking at just basic, like, what is price doing, how's it reacting? Like, they have to go hand in hand. To me, nothing's telling me that's invalid, so like, it may just be high resistance, may just be chilling out. The fact that we've opened up a new hourly candle is good. It looks like a revenge trade. I've taken one trade this week, so I don't know. Oh, that's possible. What up, Wazy? So obviously that's not what I want to see. but I'm looking at the 15 minute, I'm looking at the 5 minute, those are the parent. The 1 minute's super sloppy, then I'm looking at the parent. Basically, that's the last point of interest in here on the 1 minute. I mean, I'm not happy with that. So, we'll just see. But, yeah. Doesn't mean I suck. I'm a terrible analyst. These things don't work. Just how it is. I'm sure all the trolls are getting their laughs in. That's awesome, man. I'm still looking at the 15 minutes the parent. I know the 1 minute, it's not the best. That 5 minutes terrible as well. But I'm paying my stop loss to do its job, regardless of what I think. It's in a logical level to be there. So, I mean, you're way too emotional about chat. I mean, again, unless you're in this position, you don't have any room to speak, man. Like, people are so naive to what they think you should be acting like versus not, and they've never had the experience. Like, you've never been in front of 900 people trading. You've never dealt with trolls and people constantly for months on end. I mean, as stoic as somebody can be, I mean, yeah, it gets to anybody. I thought the same thing about ICT. I was like, why is he always talking to trolls? Why is he always like this or that? I would never do that. I mean, I try to not do that, but again, I'm a human, so. I'm not really looking at chat currently. It's just too much. Again, I've taken one trade this week, so people are really upset about it, trying to criticize me. I'm like, cool, man. Taking one trade. Genuine question. Now I'm looking at chat. Do you not take into account when you printed a 1 hour civvy? I mean, yeah, I just don't. That small of an inefficiency, especially when you already have a 15 minute, a 5 minute inefficiency like we've already had. I mean, to me, it's not going to want to reach up into there to sell off. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's, to me, that's not what I'm looking at. Lazy Fivers fucked me with trading indices on vacation. Oh, really? I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Again, why would I not be looking at higher prices? Look at dollar index is screaming off higher. That's the reason I'm still holding on to this trade is because my stop's in a logical level. Dollar index is still screaming higher. So yes, if I enter in on a 1 minute, I also have to be aware I don't want to place my stop loss super tight when the parent is still here. So for all of those who are wondering why my stop loss is here, because this is the parent. Yes, I'm entering on a 1 minute, but I have to be aware of the parent and where that stop loss should be in congruence to the parent. And if this goes in my way, I mean, congratulations, awesome. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit. Like, things could have easily went the other way. Humble in your winnings and humble in your losings. We built relative equal lows in here as well. So I would really want to see a sharp displacement into the relative equal lows. Did I get the best entry in the world? Did I have to sit through some things? Sure. Did I have to sit through a bit of heat and worry and anxiety? Sure. But I wouldn't have entered in here. There was no reason to do so. So I placed my stop in a logical level. I paid it to do so. I'm not going to take out early just because, I'm fearful. I don't know. As we said before, I didn't know. I mean, who's to really say? It could still stop me out. I mean, they're not decoupled. Like, I know it's not moving. Sometimes it lags behind it. Like, dollar index is really screaming off higher, which is good. That's what I want to see. I would have canned the idea if dollar index was dropping off lower heavily, like it's moving higher. Excuse me. Then I would have canned the idea. But when you're in trade, you mentally imagine being stopped out, so you accept a loss. I mean, yeah, I accept every single time I put on a trade that I'm already lost. That's a hard thing to do, but I anticipate every time I take a trade I'm losing, because I go into the trade every single time I'm going to win this trade. Then I'm setting myself up for failure. I mean, I anticipate I'm already going to lose. That way I'm not caught off guard. I'm not surprised. Like, I just like, okay, cool, I lost. Like, I already anticipated that. And if I won, okay, cool. It would need, in a short amount of time, we spent a lot of time in here, and this is basically last point of interest, it needs to start moving lower into the sell side pretty shortly here. I'd say about next 10 minutes. Do you always let stop losses do the work? For the 90% of the time, yeah. As I'm a human, I could interpret something incorrectly. So if I just place my stop where I'm told to do it and where the logical levels and the rules tell me to do it, then I'm going to do that. I'm not going to touch it. If I see with certain evidence that, I've spent too much time in a trade, it's not really willing to displace to a certain draw on liquidity, then I'll take out. I do consider a double top, like buy side liquidity is resting above here, but I'm just keying off the idea of that parent time frame. Like I said, I could be stopped out, which I may very well be. That's fine. All right, Wizzy, have a good rest of your weekend, brother. Yeah, I haven't checked the health of the stream yet, so I apologize if it is. It would need, like, this is the last point of interest, this inefficiency here. And I don't know. Probably I'm going to be stopped out. Boo-hoo. Oh man, I could have taken out here when it went to in profit after I was losing. And that's just a weird way of thinking about it. If we close above this in 7 seconds, then yeah. I'm not going to take the heat of it. I collapsed the position. So, oh no, we took a loss. So, that was a loss. Wasn't a fun one. Yes, I've waited all week and I took a loss. Sometimes that happens. If I prematurely exited and this thing sold off, I mean, then it is what it is. So, overall, I mean, it sucks. I wanted to end the week. I mean, who knows? Tomorrow could be a W as well. But I don't look at days by wins and losses. I mean, I could give you all a prep speech. I'm not going to do that. Like, it's simply a loss. That's it. I don't need to make a big deal out of it. Yeah, I mean, this whole week has not been extremely easy. And I waited all week and I executed on the idea that I thought was correct. And that's it. So, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I know for some people, you're like, damn it, man, you took a loss. And I may have prematurely exited. I'm going to just state that. I mean, I should have waited overall for this to close above it. If it does sell off, I mean, I'd probably beat myself up over it a little bit. Which, I mean, I'll stay on here for a second just to see what the next 5-10 minutes plays out like. If it goes above the buy side, then obviously I was correct on that. I traded 5 micros on that, so it's about $250 loss on it. It's nothing. Reason for your action, I mean, it was taking too long, and we're generating buy side at that point in time when you're reaching that high up into it. I mean, to me, I'm likely to believe it's going to want to tag the buy side. So, only thing I did incorrect is I should have at least waited for the closure above it. That's all. But I mean, if I was wrong on that, and I still believe the idea is right, I mean, I could come in a PM session and try to trade that, but I'm not going to do that. Because once you take a loss, you have more emotions, you have more things at play. So it's best just to get off the charts. You're likely to make more mistakes. If I'm getting something wrong technically, I mean, obviously it means I'm wrong on the day, and maybe the day's just not there. So, I mean, I think that's going to be it for today. I mean, I want to see in just a second here, about 5 minutes. If it starts to displace lower, I'm not chasing price, not me revenge trading. I just want to see if I was maybe incorrect on that early closure. But there's buy side generated above this with the new day opening gap. So don't know how many handles that was. Probably a little bit heftier. Yeah, 40 handles. But market's moving a lot right now. If you actually get into positions, exactly. The reality is people lose all the time. Like they just hide it from you, which I've showcased all of that to you. Poon. And I'm sure you're just one of the trolls that judges me off of one trade. But if you looked at the last 10 weeks, I've been profitable 9 out of 10 weeks. So. Crazy Eddie, you're welcome, my brother. I want to see if was I incorrect on that, and is the idea still valid? I'm just analyzing. Please don't do anything. I would need a lot of evidence to actually look for that. I didn't close. Yeah, I mean, it's good. Exactly, Jabbers. I mean, to believe that nobody takes losses, I mean, I don't know what world you're living in. What am I trading today? Good question. Chest. Night trader, that's such a strange question. That's a timeout for sure. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Wealth, yeah. I mean, dollar index is still really going higher, so that's what's making me confident, at least in the idea that maybe I just closed semi-prematurely. I mean, it was about a handle away from stopping me out, so I mean, I wasn't even at a 1-to-1. Yeah, don't take this the wrong way, and then they say some weird stuff. I closed early. Why? I've already discussed that like 7 times. And I've showcased this before too on live, like where I've taken a loss and I was able to get back into the market. I'm not saying I'm going to do that. I'm just waiting to see if there's evidence. The dollar index, the fact that it's really driving higher would make me key off the idea this thing could sell off. It may happen in PM session, so I may not be here. Excellent, exactly. You know, that's a hard position to hold on to, especially when your stop loss is there. I'm just being real. Like, that's not something you want to see out of an ideal setup. That's not normal. That's not something. Yes, we're supposed to pay our stop loss, be there, but again, the human. Sometimes I make a mistake. Yeah, Tal, I'm sure you over leveraged on that account, my friend. I told you not to do that. But have a good day. I mean, I'm gonna admit that does suck, but it's the reality of it. It's what sometimes you're gonna see mistakes out of somebody. Oh no. Yeah, it was. It was at a logical level. Yeah, no, I'm human. We're all human. To say that you've never done that, I mean, you're lying. You get really fractal, that technically is a breaker. I'm not gonna get super fractal with it. When you go, I know you've asked it like 4 times, Astro. It just depends. It depends on the risk reward. It depends on where I'm targeting certain levels, what I'm targeting. You'll see it. I mean, go back through my live streams I've taken trades at. You'll see when I do it. I move to break even. Yes, I do. So I would be willing to sell short there. Half the contract size I started with. very well could be stopped out again. It could never even reach into that limit. It's not me revenge trading or chasing price. I'm just logically saying, all right, well, I was stopped out, or I prematurely stopped myself out, and I just have to get back into sync with the market. I know some people are looking at time, but if the silver bullet's been held inside of consolidation, you can trade the hour after and even into it. So I entered on my live account. It didn't tag this in here. So I was in on that, and I'll show you. Okay, that's my fill. I'm more concerned about my live account than paper trading. I'll just do this so the stream can see it. You see, risking 25 handles for potentially 80 if this thing really gets animated today. I mean, I have a belief in the trust system, especially with dollar index, that this thing could get some downside pretty heavily. So that, I never let go of this idea. Again, if people think I'm revenge trading, you're viewing it the wrong way. I'm not revenge trading. I'm just correcting something that I humanly did. And even then, so that was a difficult trade to sit through with that amount of drawdown and price doing that. Do I believe it's going to take sell side reverse to buy side? No. I believe that buy side will be left for another point in time with dollar index screaming off higher as it is. I'm still in. Should I get out? No. You can take partials all the way down into this, into the sell side. Just be patient. I know you've been patient, but what's the point? You waited out all that entire time. You did all that work, and then you're just going to exit out after you're in a little bit of profit. I mean, that's not the best idea. You can take a partial if that's what eases your mind. That's really when you want to see out of IOFEDs, like a quick snap into it and a quick snap out, especially leaving larger portions of it open to snap lower. Adjust a couple levels. Yeah, Astro, I mean, sometimes it happens. I did the same thing. You don't think I experienced the exact same thing you did? Exactly. I mean, I prematurely, when I exited on that candle there, I should have waited for a bodily closure, which I didn't. I was prematurely, as a human, believing that I was going to run for buy side. And I was just like, you know what, might as well not take the full stop out, might as well take a little bit. But again, that's something in your journal where you could go in and be like, this is what I did wrong, this is how I adjust. Look here on the 5 minute, that's the mean threshold of the bearish order block as well. It will be screaming up soon. Okie dokie. So where are logical levels to take profit? Well, overall, these levels down here are the overall draw. There's a lot. But if you're just looking at the dealing range that it's in, you go from dealing range low to high. Anything inside of this discount is a good area to take partials. Down there is a good place to take partials. I guess I could leave that on there. I'll tell you if I take a partial. Again, that would make back the loss that we previously had. That's not my intention either. I'm just, whenever I lose, I'm not trying to get back the loss. I'm just working within, is this my model? Is this a framework? Is the idea still valid? I'd want to see it drop underneath this bullish for bad gap and then treat it as an inversion. So I'm going to anticipate that to become an inversion. Just taking off. I have to take off my stop loss in this, or my take profit in order to take partials. I forgot. Yeah, I feel like I have to show half of this in here just to. I don't know how else to really put this on the screen. I'll try to do this or something. But I know if I click on this, then it goes away. So it just kind of doesn't really work. I'll just leave it off, and when I show it, it'll be there. $15-minute has a bearish order block there. Visual nomad. All right, brother. I'd rather leave this as a breakaway gap, but we'll see. It's been boring price action in general today. I mean, this has not been easy. It's been really boring. Flatwood, I don't know if you're still in here. I appreciate your tweet to me. It's exactly what I was looking for. Lazy, I see your entries if you're still in here. Oh, you probably left. I'm on Twitter right now. Like, if I'm ever in a trade and I just don't really feel like paying attention to it, I'll just go to Twitter and do something else. Live stream. Hell yeah, brother. I see you. I see you. Beautiful cells. you trade off your phone, Wazy? Rodrigo? Alright, brother. Can you define what a breakaway gap? I mean, if price is in a hurry to get somewhere to draw liquidity, it'll leave a breakaway gap. They're a little bit harder to anticipate. Not like there's no set in stone rule for it. I know Justin Weirlin. I don't think so. I got you, brother. Props to you, man. Hats off, because I don't know if I could do that. The damn Sue's fest, man. Props if you're still in the trade from the very beginning. It's a lot of time just holding this thing, which I understand. It's not fun. Same here, Trevor. Today was the perfect day not to trade compared to the others. All right. Thank you for your advice. I'm just surprised we're not moving in here because dollar index is really moving. All right, Eddie, I'll see you tomorrow. 2 minute. Here you go. I've eaten 3 protein bars. First time in a live stream watching daily recaps. Awesome, man. Marine, yeah, I just haven't updated it. I mean, I'm going to be done with these live streams anyway tomorrow, so there is a 30% off, I believe, or something. You have to go to their page and see. To be honest with you, no ways you have not. Maybe I'll have to look into it. I'm still in a position. So no, I haven't closed it. And if this gets me stopped out, I'm done for the week. That's my limit for the week. Like, if I've incurred, you know, a certain amount of risk throughout the week, yeah. So, I was stopped out on this because my risk, I forgot about that. So, I don't know if you heard the noise. I have a certain daily loss limit I forgot about. So, I was hit on that. It is what it is, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. I know overall, obviously it's 2 losses. It's not fun. It's not like woohoo. But I played exactly how I was wanting to play it. And some people can look at it and view it in whatever way they want to. It's fine. But then again, you have to pay attention to overall long-term view. Still up on the months, still up on the year. There's still many weeks and months to play out. I'm not going to give a prep talk because most people are going to think that I'm just trying to cope with it. I'm not. I'm just trying to describe what it feels like to take a loss. And 2 losses back to back. It's not fun. Poon, I mean, yeah, brother. I'm not trying to give, people think I'm trying to give attention to haters or trolls, but just go back to the last 9 weeks, man. Like, this is my first so far losing week. I mean, you can go into this and say whatever, but it's cool, man. All right, everybody. I mean, that's gonna be it for me.